Hi, good morning everyone. Welcome to San Antonio, the home of the Alamo. This is a special place for me because I was a history major in college. I don't know if you know that, but if you've never had the pleasure of going over to the Alamo, and I doubt we're going to give you a lot of time to do that, but you must make time for a visit. You're probably wondering, if you're a history major, how did you get this job? Good question. I have no idea, but I am a student of history nonetheless, and I think it's very important, and there's a lesson we can learn from the Alamo. And in 1836, a guy by the name of, well, I guess, Commander William Travis, inked a letter called Victory or Death. And in that letter, he had asked for reinforcements because at the Alamo, if you get a chance to go, there was only 200 people in the Alamo, some of them women and children. And there was an oncoming Mexican army of 1,000 people, and he knew that he was in deep trouble. So what did he do? I probably would have waved the white flag, but he waved a red flag. And when you wave a red flag, that means you're ready for battle, indicating that he wouldn't back down. So if you go to the Alamo, you learn the rest of the story. The attack happened, the support never arrived, and the Alamo was lost. And the story makes me think a little bit about our business landscape today. So as you know, not enough resources can sometimes mean or equal a losing battle. Similar to Commander Travis, you've asked us for reinforcements. And I'm here to tell you we brought a boatload of them. Our intent of this next couple days is to provide you with the best already vetted relationship opportunities, so you can not only survive the battle, but win it. Starting right here, where that battle took place in San Antonio, and continuing on for many, many years. So we are very, very excited about this meeting because it kicks off the strategy we carefully articulated and have been building the last 2 years. Of course, we have copiers. That's why you're here, that's why we're here. We have new copiers. I believe we have the best copiers. And we're excited to talk about all the new copiers that we have. As you may recall, I was the most interesting non-copier guy in this industry. My team tells me you are now the least interesting copier guy. I don't know how that works. But at that meeting, I explained our vision. And it was to become the premier facilitator of managed network solutions for our industry. I'm going to flush that out a bit further. Interestingly enough, that's all we had for you. We had no details, just a vision. But for now, we have to understand the path we took to make this vision a reality and why we're here. It's safe to say the journey started with some simple Seeker goals. You've heard this before, but we want to be irresistible. We said we had to be irresistible because we had to drive profit and revenue. And to do that, we knew if we did those two things, we would position ourselves for hypergrowth. And it really works in that order. We can't drive profit if we can't be irresistible. We can't drive profit and revenue, and we can't drive hypergrowth without what we talked about before. So what are we doing to strive for this irresistible status? I've challenged the team. I'm reading a book by the name of the author's Jeffrey Hazlett, and it's Think Big and Act Bigger. And I've challenged our team to think big but act bigger in everything we do. That challenge has helped us change our culture to focus on our partnerships with you. We've done this through a number of means, through a number of tactics. I've told you we wanted to get the right people. We wanted to bring in people that was going to drive value add to your organizations. And when we got those people, we realized when they fit our culture, we had to train them. We wanted them to understand your business. We wanted them to understand what makes you tick. We wanted them to understand that your sweat equity, that your family is probably more than likely in that business. So we had to train them. We had to make it easier to do business with us. We had to simplify our programs. We had to improve our delivery times. 14 days, 15 days, 8 days, 9 days, 10 days, whatever it wasn't good enough. We had to get product to you sooner if we told you that we wanted you to carry less inventory. We came up with the idea in this industry that working capital should be focused on driving business in your markets, not focused on driving inventory into your warehouses. And we bring it all together with tech data. These tactics will be core and have been core to everything we do, and it's paid off. You're probably wondering or asking, how has it paid off? For starters, we measure that by a few things, qualitatively and quantitatively. Qualitatively, we measure it by what you're telling us. For the most part, the feedback has been pretty good, and thank you for that feedback. Our goal we set out was to better serve you by improving your profitability and helping you run a better business. You're telling us that we're helping you, but we're never there. I tell our teams we're never, ever there. Then there's the numbers, and we can't hide the numbers. Let's start with revenue. The story with Sharp right now with Sika is all positive. We had our 6th straight fiscal revenue growth of Sika. So if you know fiscal, you divide that, that's 3 years. Despite exiting non-core businesses, Sika grew revenues yet again. And in spite of all the noise, and we know what the noise is, we all get the Google alerts and everything else. In my opinion, that's a hell of an accomplishment. On a global basis, MFP revenues grew 6.5% over the prior period. We can't hide the fact that Sharp Corp revenues did decline due to the exiting of some consumer business categories, but that's to be expected when restructuring. The profit story is pretty remarkable too. Last fiscal, the US document business was one of the most profitable in our history. Sika grew its operating profit by 145% over the prior fiscal. And we really have to thank all of you for that. Thank you very much. And if that wasn't good enough, this is our sixth consecutive fiscal of operating income growth for Sika as well. So again, 3 years of operating income growth. I made something very clear as we've gone out on the road to talk to you. I made it very clear that we would take any success that you provided us and we would reinvest that back into you. And we did just that. It started with investing into a new website. And with that new website, one of the things we had to build in was intelligence. And with intelligence gave us the ability to start sharing leads and to start doing things with you directly that we didn't do before. And hopefully you're taking advantage of that. We were able to also take that information out on the road. We were able to take it into your communities where you serve your customers in the form of a roadshow, and we did that heavily in 2 doses. We also invested in software development, much of which you're going to be able to see throughout today and tomorrow, and we did that also through partnerships. We invested in partnerships to help you drive your business. So we took a lot of the money that Sika made and we reinvested it back into you. I told you we would do that, and we will continue to do that. On a worldwide basis, the Business Solutions Group that Mr. Mukai runs, the Business Solutions Group operating profit increased by 5% versus the prior fiscal period. And once again, Sharp Corporation struggled financially, but primarily if you go to the website and look at the financials, it was due to impairment and restructuring charges. But we're excited. There's a new commander in town, Mr. Mukai, and he explained that we are entering into a new era. He explained that the worst is behind us, and that Sharp has turned the corner and is focusing the company on becoming a B2B powerhouse. I think he made that very, very clear. Why is this more evident today than what you've been seeing in the past? Quite frankly, it's meaningful change. We are becoming a business company, less focused on the consumer side of our business. Mr. Mukai talked about the new virtual company structure and how we'll do many, many things, but primarily what we're seeing is it's going to facilitate and streamline decision-making down to the regions. and that's good for the US. It's also going to allow us to react swiftly to our customer needs. You all, that's something Sharp has found we needed to do. Also, each Sharp business unit must survive on its own. And since the Business Solutions Group has been doing that, that's very helpful. And as we make money, we, meaning Sika, will benefit from continued investment from Japan. So it's good. You know why? Because I talked about goal number 3 at the end, and that was hyper-growth. We want to move in to hyper-growth mode. That was goal number 3, if you're keeping track. But there are challenges. We have to understand what those challenges are. And one of the things we're seeing a lot of dealers buying dealers. Isn't that amazing? The landscape is changing. Since Q1 2013, 85%, think about this, 85% of dealer acquisitions were not executed by manufacturers. They were executed by dealers. Are we the big dealers losing control? Oh my gosh, you guys are buying each other. No, that's not what it is. And none of us here think that way. We think it's great. We think it's great because it shows the strength in the channel. It shows the strength of what you're doing every day. To illustrate that point, we saw PE money in a big way enter into the industry via St. Cloud recently. I think everybody knows what that is. Another indication of the strength of the channel. But let's face it, the core of what we do, we count color and we count monochrome copies, and we charge people for it. That's declining. The industry has had its smallest Q1, Q2 period since 2011. So as we think about hypergrowth, we have to consider that this business is rapidly changing. So there's a story, and it really goes quite like this, and you know it very, very well. The copier makes all the money, right? It's the road to continuous profitability. We know that more than anybody. But what we do know is that the more diversified you are within your accounts, the higher the likelihood of retaining that copier business, which is where the profit is, right? That's how the story goes. So the question is, how do we do that? Our answer is be the facilitator of managed network solutions. Not own a managed network solutions company, but facilitate custom solutions that we will make available. And the real reason here is we don't believe shoving a solution down your throat because we know it's not one-size-fits-all solution. It limits your flexibility. It limits your customer and your options. And it limits a point of entry to many of your customers. Why else do I believe this? Because I've watched our competitors. And I've watched our competitors who want access to your customers to sell them their solution, not yours. That to me makes absolutely no sense. I think we can agree on a few things, right? My dad always used to say this. It's very dry in the hotel. My dad always used to say, he didn't say that, I said that. He used to say the only guarantees in life are death and taxes. What an uplifting speech my dad gave, right, at the dinner table. I think we can agree to that, right? I think we can agree that no two businesses, especially businesses that you guys work with, whether it's a school or a law firm or a hospital, they're not exactly alike. We also know that businesses use and need information to run, right? But they don't do it the same way. We also know that they need devices and software, and they need access to that info, but they don't do that the same way. And they'll also tell you they need information to be available anywhere, anytime. Laura used the word ubiquity, but they need to be ubiquitous. They need to have that anywhere. I think you can agree to that, right? We can probably agree that some of your customers, you might consider them needy or selfish, and they won't let you charge enough, right? Now, I leave that one out. We don't need to agree to that one. Our customers are great, right? Mutually. But you get where this is headed. My point is, our philosophy needs to be simple. our relationships will facilitate a custom solution for your customers your way, because they're different, on one invoice to their specified location, all with the idea of retaining that copier business. Our relationships will facilitate growth for IT hardware and services on their network, on your customer's network. And if they need integration capabilities, we will be able to do that as well. Not a one-size-fits solution, but options. Our relationships will facilitate the connections needed to help diversify your business. That's our answer. And we do this with our relationship with Tech Data. And as you'll see very shortly, and primarily beginning tomorrow, we'll have a special guest up here to talk more about that. If you haven't seen it already in most of your markets, we've been talking about it for a while. But one thing you're going to learn about Tech Data is they're not just a logistics company and a credit provider with a bunch of warehouses full of a bunch of IT products. They do far more than that. Tech Data is the conduit for allowing Sharp to deliver on this philosophy that I'm talking to you about. And frankly, we believe it puts us in some lofty company. What do I mean by that? Alibaba. You hear of Alibaba? The most valued retailer has no inventory. Anybody here ever use Uber? Know what that is?